Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to yet another episode of Miss Jade's It's About Time podcast. Good to see you all. Thank you so much for tuning in and thank you so much for being here. As mentioned in our last episode, today we are going to focus on ghosting. And before we get into that ghosting conversation, I actually just want to pick up on some of the conversations we had the conversation that we had last time around the use of dating apps, and share something interesting that I actually came across a couple of days ago around people's experiences in using dating apps and how I actually saw it on TikTok, someone talking about how they matched with this guy on a dating app. Then the person asks for them to meet in person at a particular restaurant. This babe shows up and the guy doesn't rock up. The guy is nowhere to be seen. So this girl is sitting in this restaurant just wondering what's going on, only for her to find out later that apparently there's a trend where restaurants actually set up dating profiles on these dating apps, then agree on a meeting date at this particular restaurant at a particular time. Of course, you will show up, and if you're a person with agency, you will order something to eat as you wait for your date to show up. Turns out it's a trick that's being used by restaurants on dating apps, some restaurants. How true that is, I do not know, but it's something that somebody raised as a personal experience. So back to what we were saying about these dating apps, let's just be very clear about why we're there and what we want to do. And please, human decency, let's not rally people to feel some type of way that they might have met their life partner only for you to be duping them just so that they can access a restaurant and a service. Surely, where are we at as human beings? Do we not care anymore about people's feelings and people's emotions? There are people who are on dating apps because they seriously do want to meet people. And the minute you start lying about why and who you are, then you are doing something that's completely inappropriate. So anyway, that's just adding on to our previous conversation. But let's get on to ghosting. I, unfortunately, and I apologize to anybody I have ever ghosted, I have been a ghoster. I remember one particular instance when I went out on a date with this guy. Everything, all the conversation building up to us meeting in person was great. Of course, we're coming from where we met on a dating app. The guy reaches out on WhatsApp. We end up agreeing to meet in person, and we meet. And to be honest, the date, vis-a-vis what the promise that was there in the conversation that we had on the app, was nothing close. It was not even close. I felt like, could I have been speaking to a completely different person? But then I think, unfortunately for me at that time, and this, I'm saying this in retrospect, because then I've had time and wisdom of years to really do lots of self-reflection, is that I just couldn't care less about having told this person why I wasn't interested in pursuing any further conversations or engagement with them, which is a cop-out on my part, but I also didn't have the emotional maturity then to realize that this person on the other end would appreciate understanding why I no longer want to pursue this engagement and this conversation. So that was when I ghosted someone, and I am so sorry to you, gentlemen, for doing that. But the reality is, ghosting, as much as we want to put ourselves out there, ghosting is going to happen because people come from different places and different spaces in their emotional journey and emotional maturity journeys. And sometimes either you do not have the confidence to tell somebody to their face that you no longer want to pursue a conversation, or you realize that the expectations that you had created in your head around who this person could be are not met when you actually interact in person, and then you choose the easy route out, which is just to stop engaging. Most of the times you block these people on whatever channels you're communicating, but without a very good understanding of what it means for this person on the other end. Because when I have been ghosted, some of the questions I asked myself was it something I said? Was it something I did? Where is this coming from? Could this person at least have the decency to let me know that they are no longer interested? And sometimes it's just as simple as somebody coming back to me and saying, thank you, Janice, so much for your time. Unfortunately, you're not what I'm looking for. And that in itself would be okay. But unfortunately, because of now some of the things I've mentioned, either they do not want to be perceived as somebody who will hurt your feelings, or they just don't care. They're just like, I have many other options. I will move on to Songembele. That could be the other thing. But I think ghosting in itself is really, it's insensitive. It's insensitive in the sense that you do not consider the feelings and where the other person is at. So that's one thing. But it's also a very selfish thing to do, because if you've put yourself out there in terms of the fact that I want to meet someone new, I want to engage and get to know somebody better, it doesn't always mean that it's going to be successful. We do not always meet people on the first instance that we instantly connect with, right? So if it doesn't happen, and that's what dating is, isn't it? Dating is about getting to know people and getting to see whether there's potential for you to engage further long term. And I think both parties should be on the same page as to the reason why we're actually dating. And then the minute you realize that it's not working, then the other person should be in a space to agree and acknowledge your feelings and concerns, and be like, thank you very much. I appreciate the fact that you actually got back to me and told me that this isn't working. I wish you the very best, Everybody moves on. But I think that also comes with significant levels of emotional maturity. For you to be able to know that I am dating, and the reason why I've moved this conversation, say, from a dating app to an in-person meeting, is because we want to explore what the connections are, what do we have stuff in common, face to face, right? And have the wisdom and the emotional maturity to understand that it could go either way. This person could be an instant connection, or it could be like, yo, this is not it. But at the point at which you realize either one of those things, then say, I would like to move this forward, or you know what, this is not exactly what I'm looking for. And you move. But unfortunately, we are all not wired that way, and our backgrounds and our history and especially our dating history and how we perceive ourselves, all those things are very different from person to person. So there'll be instances where people are like, it's easier for me just to cut all communication and retreat. And a lot of it could also be because maybe at the point at which you're dating this person, you're also dating another person, right? And this person then tends to be more suited to what you're looking for, but not this person that you met with. And instead of just coming back and saying, I'm sorry, I have met somebody else who is more aligned and who I feel I would rather focus building a relationship with, just cut all ties and all communication. What it means is that this person either feels so aggrieved by their experience that they may want to do it to others, or they will retreat further into themselves and be like, you know what, dating isn't for me. And yet there's somebody somewhere out there who could be such a great partner for this person. So I think my take-home message from my experience as a ghoster and a ghostee, and I do not say this with any pride whatsoever, because it's so unfortunate that I did not have the emotional maturity to see it then, is just be transparent, just be honest. Say that, you know what, it's not going to work. I suggest that we both move on and, find the people we want to date, or find people who are more aligned to our preferences and the things we want to do, as opposed to just cutting off communication. Dating is something we are going to have to live with, especially until the point you feel you found someone. So you certainly don't want to create a precedent where you do bad things to other people only for them to come and bite back at you. So let's be courteous. Let's be transparent. Let's be honest. Let's be real. This is working. This is not working. Thank you very much. And you never know where you'll meet these people that you hosted. You may be going somewhere for a job interview and this person is the one who's rocking up to interview you. Or you may meet with them in a social setting with other people that you know, and it becomes a very awkward dynamic. I mean, those are just some of the practical instances where it could come back to bite you. But also, most importantly, I think, is when you lay down in your bed at night and you're by yourself and you're taking stock of your life and the things that you've done. Do you really want to be known as a person who ghosted somebody? Do you? I don't think so. So let's do better. Let's be mindful of how we manage our communication and our interaction with each other, because the world certainly needs us to be better people. Thank you very much. And that is the end of my ghosting conversation. Anyway, looking forward to seeing you guys on the next episode of Miss J's podcast, Miss J's About Time podcast. In the meantime, let's be honest, let's be transparent, let's be real. Ciao.